Hello there, goddess. I'm so excited. This is my first video for my blog. So I just want to say thank you so much for being here. Today we are going to be talking about haters and naysayers, kind of what the difference is, because a lot of people think like negative is negative is negative, but they don't always see the negative in people. They think that they just need to, get rid of all of their family and all of their friends because they have doubts. That's really not true. And I'm also going to tell you about how to conquer like your inner hater, because before you can deal with your external haters, before you can even get to a place where you have external haters, you have to deal with your own self-doubt, your own fears, your own belief issues. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm so excited for you to be here. If you're new to me, my name's Isabel Brandon Strelzik. It just changed. You can go ahead and you can follow me on Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, wherever. I'm going to offer you some daily inspiration on all of those platforms as well. And please let me know who you are. Feel free to send me a message, drop a comment below. Let me know who you are, where you're coming in from, and how you got to know me, how you came to find me. So let's get started here. So what is a hater and what is a naysayer? Because most people don't know that there are two different categories, or they at least don't know how to categorize people. So there are two categories of, I'll say, dangerous people. And those are haters and naysayers. And your naysayer, I believe, is more dangerous because they're more stealthy, a little bit more spy action going on there. They are the people who tell you that you're okay, just the way that you are. They tell you that, oh, maybe that's a little big, maybe you should go for something a little bit more reasonable. Maybe they're saying things like, oh, that's really risky. Didn't you know that's risky? Didn't you know that 80% of businesses fail? Didn't you know that whatever? And they're full of these facts about people failing. There may be people saying that, your dream is too big, your goal is too big, it's unreachable. Maybe no one's ever done it before. All of these different things that they might be saying that are just filled with doubt and fear and laced with all of those different things. And you might be one yourself. You might have said those sorts of things before, and they're all coming from a place of love. And so that's why they're so sneaky, is because they tend to come from people like our parents, our siblings, our spouse, our kids, or whoever, who are really just trying to look out for us. They really don't mean to like squish you down a bit. They're really trying to love on you and to protect you and to keep you safe. But they're doing it in a way that affects your abilities and your doubts and your beliefs. So that's why I say that's really stealthy, because you are not always expecting that to come in, and you're not expecting that to be negative. Sometimes people are like, oh, it's just from a place of love, therefore it cannot be anything but loving and positive, but that's actually not true. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But first I want to establish the difference. And haters are people who are actively out there trying to bring you down. They're people who are saying you're too greedy. They're people who are saying, you're just trying to make a buck. They're people who are saying, oh, what are some good ones that I've heard? I've heard, you're just filling people's minds with garbage, those sorts of things that are active trying to bring you down, and most of the time you don't even know them, or you barely know them. These aren't your friends, your mom, your whatever. Maybe they are, hopefully not, but they're people who are actively trying to bring you down, and there's huge red flags that go off when they talk that you're like, oh, yep, hater, got it, spot you, you're there. So they're really easy to see, whereas the naysayers aren't so much. So we're going to talk about more about them a little bit later, but first I want to talk about you, because you might be a hater or a naysayer to other people, but you are definitely one to yourself. Okay, you are your own worst enemy when it comes to your belief. And it can range across the spectrum. You can, go all the way into self-deprecation of, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I'm helping no one, etc., etc., etc. And then the more mild of, oh, that's a little bit risky, that seems a little, that's scary, all of these things, the fear, the doubt, the whatever on this naysayer end, and the active hatred, self-deprecation on the other end. And it can range in there from day to day, minute to minute. And so you need to conquer before you can deal with anyone else, and before you can even be in a place to be making moves that really attract those kinds of people. You need to conquer that in yourself. Okay, you need to conquer your own mind. You need to conquer yourself in order to get to that point. So, because I'm going to tell you a little bit later why you want these people in your life. So you have to practice. This is not going to happen overnight. This is a practice thing. To overcome this big issue. You can call it your ego, I've heard inner mean girl, I've heard your self-doubt, I've heard your fear, I've heard, your inner hater, your naysayer, your whatever you want to call it, that thing, your mind. You need to work to overcome it. So I'm going to give you two things that you can do right now to help practice overcoming this. So the first thing that I want you to do, if you're brand new to this, for me, I'm a facts person, okay? I am not about feelings. They're squishy. They're not real. I am a tangible fact human being. So what helped me when I first started doing this was when I had a doubt like that, or something that came up that was like, you can't do this, this seems like it's high risk, what if, etc., etc., etc. I wrote it down, and then I looked at the facts. Okay, I didn't look at what I was feeling about it. I didn't look at what my brain was telling me about it. I looked at what are the facts. Okay, so if I had doubts about, starting this blog, for example, I looked at the facts, and you know what? The facts are kind of bleak. To be real, most people do not make money in blogs, and that's okay. But I looked at the facts, and I also found that the people who really invest in it, who really go all in, do really well. That's just a fact. There are statistics to match that, there are numbers to match that. It's tangible evidence, okay? And so finding things that are tangible, or maybe it's things that other people say about you. So sometimes especially when I first started doing mindset trainings and that sort of thing, I felt like no one was watching, no one was listening. I was getting no feedback. And I realized I still have sometimes grappled with that. And I realized that, hey, sometimes I'll meet someone who I know, back home or at school or at whatever, and we haven't talked in forever, and they'll say, I watch your videos all the time. You are so inspirational. And I had no idea that they were even watching. So what other people say about you can also be a fact, a tangible fact evidence that can help disprove that inner mean girl of yours, that ego of yours. And the other thing that you might want to do, if there maybe aren't facts about it, if it's something that people don't really do, or maybe you just aren't a fact-finding person, the other activity that you can do, the other practice that you can use is when you feel that way, write down, my inner ego is currently telling me blank, or my inner mean girl is currently telling me blank. So what's really important is that you say it as if it's something external to you. This and this, such and such, is currently telling me that, whatever. And then you're just gonna say to yourself, you're gonna be like, no thank you, not today. And gently close the door. on that inner ego. You're going to say, I see what you're selling, but not today. Thank you, though. It's like when the other day we had an Xfinity salesman came knocking on the door. He said, do you have your Xfinity set up yet? Do you need some new internet? And Michael was like, no thanks, we're okay. We already got it set up. Thank you, though. We appreciate it. Gently shut the door. We're not slamming the door. We're not saying, get out of here. We are just being gentle and saying, no, thank you. I don't need that today. So that's really what you want to tell yourself. So those two practices are really going to change your the way that you think about yourself and the way that you feel. I've noticed that my reaction, my gut reaction, my emotional reaction to things has changed since I've started doing this, because I don't see everything as a risk or as, something that will potentially cost money or potentially cost time or potentially whatever, the what ifs that we start going through. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. We're going to move on to other people now. So other people, you're going to want to, we're now talking again about the naysayers and the haters. So first with the naysayers, like I said, it's all coming from a place of love. It's all coming from a place of, I want to take care of you. I want to help you. And so sometimes the self-help world, the, whatever world, they preach to just eliminate all of it. Just say bye. If you doubt me, you are out of my life. The end. Hallelujah, praise the Lord. But that doesn't always work in practice, because a lot of times those are the people who are closest to you. It's your sister, it's your spouse, it's your whomever that are really, scared. And that's okay that they're scared, because it's coming from that place of love. But that doesn't mean that you have to buy into their fear. So that's why you really need to conquer yourself first, is because you need to have a way to deal with that doubt so that you don't get sucked into that mess, because that's the real key. So you're going to want to not get sucked in. And if it's someone who's really influential in your life, really close to you in your life, and you're like, I really can't get rid of this person, it's about navigating that relationship. So maybe that means not bringing up the topic, or, only talking about certain things with them, et cetera, et cetera. I have, let's say I have a cousin who is doubtful of my business and the way that I work. And that's okay. It's coming from a place of love and a place of wanting to make sure that I'm not making a mistake. And they're not someone that I can just get rid of in my life. I still have to see them. And so I know that I won't bring up my business. I know that if they bring it up and if they ask me about it, I might hedge around it a bit. Or I might tell them some real positives that I've had, or some real wins that I've had, and make it not about what their fears are, like their fears about money or whatever. I'll try to navigate that conversation a little bit and control the conversation so that I don't have to eliminate that relationship, but I can still control that relationship so that I am not falling victim to their doubt and their fears. So those are my best tips about dealing with the naysayers in your life. The next thing that I want to talk to you guys about are the haters. So, sorry, this is going to be a little bit controversial. Everyone talks about, like, blocking out the haters. I'm, not dealing with the haters, just kind of doing my thing. And so here's my 2 cents on haters, is that haters are a really positive thing. Like, I seek out my haters. That doesn't mean that I follow them on Instagram or that I'm friends with them on Facebook. I will still delete them from my timeline or hide them from my timeline so that I can't see their garbage. But I don't block them. I don't do anything like that, because here's the thing, you guys. The haters are hating because they cannot create. So people who are total strangers to you, or barely know you, and are actively bringing toxic mess into your zone, they can't create anything, so they create chaos. they're too scared to create anything of their own, so they bring their chaos. They can create chaos, and they bring it into what you've created. And so haters are a real sign that you're doing something right. Like, you're doing something that's stirring up the waters. You're doing something different. You're doing something new or innovative or whatever. And it's pushing on what they do, their lack of working towards anything, their lack of self, of creation, of whatever. And it bothers them. Bothers them a lot, and that's why they hate. So I actually look forward to, and this again goes back to, you have to conquer yourself before you can do this, because you're not going to be in a place to take these sorts of actions that even generate large amounts of haters, and you're also not going to be able to deal with it and look at it so positively unless you've mastered yourself and your inner hater first. So, you want to, when, someone comments on something on Instagram and is like, because I'm talking about Instagram, and, says something really negative, blah, 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 you just shouldn't even be on Instagram, you should just delete your account, yada, yada, yada. Maybe I'll hide their comment. Maybe I'll delete it. I'm not going to address them. I'm not going to argue with them, but I'm going to acknowledge that the fact that they exist, that the fact that they sought me out, means that I'm doing something right. It means that I'm doing something that bothered someone else. And so I have made it my mission. I kind of collect them, like collectibles. I really enjoy actually seeing those sorts of things on my post or seeing those things in my inbox, because that means that I'm mixing up the waters a bit. That means I'm doing something that's totally crazy, totally out of the box, totally whatever. And so you have to look at it that way. You have to seek out the haters, not actively seek them out, but make moves that will bring the haters towards you. Make moves that do stir up the waters a bit, that aren't normal, that everyone else isn't doing. Make those big, huge, massive moves, and you will bring the haters to you. So I hope you guys appreciate today's tips. I love bringing you the actionable stuff. I'm not about the fluff. I'm giving it to you straight. I'm not just going to make you feel good about your life and carry on. Have a nice day. I want to actually give you some steps that you can take towards the life that you desire. So if you appreciated this, please share it with someone else who might appreciate it on Facebook, or I don't think you can share it on Instagram or Pinterest or LinkedIn or wherever. And I will see you guys next week. Bye.